What is HTTP request or HTTP methods? HTTP requests are the messages sent by the client to request the data from the server or to perform some actions like adding the resource to the server or deleting the resource from the server. So the most commonly used HTTP method often map to the CRUD operation like creating the data, reading the data, updating the data or deleting the data from the server. So there are many HTTP methods are available. Let's see one by one. First is get method, which is also known as read. It is used to retrieve the data from the server, and this method is very safe and idempotent method. So here the idempotent means calling the method one time or more than one time will result in the same. There is no change in the result. We call it an idempotent method. And with the get request, you will be getting status code 200 success OK. And real life example of get method is opening a website or loading a profile of a user. Second is post request. It's also known as create and used to create the resources to the server. And this method is not idempotent. Means if you hit the post request one or more than one time, it will result in a different record into the server. And its status code is 201. So here's a simple example. User send the name and email ID. And the real life example, we can see that submitting the sign up form. So if any user wanted to sign up for any profile, so it's a post request only. Third is put, which is a full update. Here, if your user want to replace the entire resource with a new data, it call it put request, and it's also an idempotent method. So here the user has already email and name, so user wanted to replace both the details, so put requests are being used. So changing the whole user details are the real example. Then fourth is patch update. It's allow for the partial update, and it may or may not be idempotent based on some specific implementation. Its example is like here you can see a real example, changing just your email address. So earlier user sent its detail with name and email ID. Now user wanted to change only the email ID, then he will use patch request. Fifth is delete, which is used to remove the specific resource from the server, and it's also an idempotent. Means if user wanted to delete some records and it's already deleted, then the next time he try to delete the same record, it doesn't impact anything. So hence this request method is also an idempotent method. The real example is deleting a post or account which is created earlier. Sixth one is option, which is also known as allowed method. So basically this method asks the server which method is available and which options it's supported for a specific URL. Consider user has one URL, and before sending the request with the URL, user wanted to check what are the method available to request with this URL. So before doing that, user will check with that option method, and once the option method is hit, user will get what are the options are available, whether user can send get, post or any other request with that URL. User will get all, and which is basically used to do the pre-flight request check. So pre-flight nothing but are the request which is being sent to check what are the API request options available for a specific URL. It's mostly used for CORS request, which is cross origin resource sharing, which is a website security feature that enable the website to send the or retrieve the resources from the different domains. Seventh one is head, which is very much similar to the get method, but instead of retrieving the whole data, it only retrieve the header part, which is the metadata information from the server, and it's generally used for checking the resource exists or not, or also the content length when it was modified. 8.1 is a trace, which is also known as debug request. So these requests are also allowed to perform the echoing. Means If the client sends some request, the server should also give the same responses. Means whatever the server's client send, server will send the same. Hence it's called echo backing the request, and it's generally used for debugging purpose, and it's being disabled because this method is very much vulnerable with the SST attack, which is cross-site tracing attack. And this trace method are used to find out in case when there are proxies are being between the servers and load balancer or gateway are being used. At the time, it trace method are used to check is anything is being modified internally when the request sent from the client or from the server responses are being sent. And these trace method are not allowed in production because it is a vulnerable method, hence it's not allowed. Ninth one is connect, which is also known as secure tunnel, and basically it is used internally by the browser. It's not sent by the user, it's internally sent by the browser. And in case when the user want to access the HTTP connections with from the secure tunnel, at the time this connection requests are being sent internally by the browser. Here the real example is user is behind the corporate proxy and wanted to access HTTPS sites. At the time this connection request is being sent and enable the secure tunnel to send or receive the data from that tunnel, and it's not sent by the user directly, it's sent by the browser internally. Thanks you.